He was the breakout star of Storage Wars, the guy with wild rides, cooler-than-life charisma, and those unforgettable shades. But then, Barry Weiss vanished. No goodbye episode. No final farewell. Just gone. Fans were left stunned, confused, and asking the same burning question: what really happened? Behind the scenes, a storm was brewing, one filled with shocking health scares, life-altering choices, and a truth even insiders didn't see coming. This isn't just the story of a man leaving a show, it's the untold fall and fight of a fan-favorite legend. Before Barry Weiss ever stepped into a dusty storage unit or flashed his iconic sunglasses on national TV, he was quietly building an empire in one of the last places you'd expect, the produce business. For over 2 decades, Barry worked side by side with his brother in the wholesale fruit and vegetable trade, continuing a family legacy started by his grandfather. But this wasn't just a family business, it was a goldmine. The success of this venture gave Barry a kind of financial freedom most reality stars only dream about. He didn't need fame or fortune, he already had it. That wealth became his ticket to a whole new kind of adventure. While his Storage Wars castmates were hustling for profit, Barry was bidding purely for the thrill. He wasn't hunting for cash, he was chasing curiosity. And that's what made him different. While others flipped their finds to pay the bills, Barry kept the coolest treasures for himself. His journey from produce mogul to television legend wasn't just rare, it was one of a kind, and it laid the foundation for the laid-back, eccentric collector millions came to adore. This key difference in motivation, thrill over necessity, became one of Barry Weiss's most iconic traits on Storage Wars. But long before he was rifling through dusty lockers for fun, Barry was already deeply embedded in a world full of speed, style, and spectacle. His story wasn't just rooted in produce markets, it stretched into the heart of custom culture and Hollywood connections that few fans ever knew about. In a twist that shocks many, Barry made an early television appearance in Motorcycle Mania 3, a Discovery Channel documentary starring none other than Jesse James, the legendary custom bike builder and former husband of Sandra Bullock. But this wasn't a random cameo, Barry is actually Jesse James' godfather. That bond reveals just how long Barry has been a behind-the-scenes figure in the motorcycle and custom vehicle world, a passion that would one day explode onto screens as part of his unforgettable TV persona. With a cast of characters who each contributed something special, A&E hit gold when they released Storage Wars in 2010. Aggression and debate were introduced by Dave Hester. Brandy Piantai and Jared Schultz introduced the typical couple dynamic. Additionally, Daryl Sheets introduced the serious, expert buyer approach. Barry Weiss, however, contributed something completely different. He added excitement, a sense of surprise, and a sincere passion for hunting that was unrelated to profit. Barry stood out like a peacock amid pigeons from the moment he first appeared. While other bidders arrived in utilitarian cars and business attire, Barry would turn up in everything from custom motorbikes to vintage hot rods, always wearing his trademark leather jackets, oddball t-shirts, and eye-catching sunglasses. Fans would tune in only to see what crazy vehicle he would arrive in next, making his arrivals legendary. In one particularly memorable occasion, Barry pulled up in a vintage hearse that he had adorned with skulls and crossbones, while in another, he arrived in a convertible painted to resemble a watermelon with seeds. The collector's nickname was more than just a cute moniker. It encapsulated Barry's strategy for winning the storage auction game. Barry saw opportunities to expand his already enormous collection of antiques, vintage goods, and eccentric curiosities, in contrast to his rivals who saw dollar signs in every box. His in-depth understanding of collectibles frequently allowed him to spot expensive objects that others may miss, but more significantly, it enabled him truly enjoy the process of discovery. Barry's fortune turned into evident not only in his pricey cars and attire but also in his bidding practices. Because something about them piqued his interest, he would frequently place a bid on apartments that other buyers deemed too hazardous or unprofitable. In one especially noteworthy event, Barry won a unit that was primarily made up of used books and paper goods, items that other purchasers tend to steer clear of since they are difficult to sell and don't yield much revenue. Barry uncovered a number of rare first-edition books and vintage magazines valued at thousands of dollars to collectors, while his rivals scoffed at what they perceived as a pointless bid. Barry's sincere excitement for the unexpected was what made his strategy so novel. He found a unit full of what seemed like rubbish from someone's garage, including old tools, weird auto parts, and crates of various objects, in another iconic episode. Barry was ecstatic when he discovered a rare antique motorbike engine hidden beneath the clutter, but other buyers would have been disappointed. To the uneducated eye, the engine appeared to be scrap metal, but it was actually from an Indian motorbike from the 1940s, and it was worth more than Barry had spent for the entire thing. Some of the most humorous parts of the show frequently came from Barry's interactions with other cast members. More serious bidders, such as Dave Hester, who took the business side of storage auctions extremely seriously, were occasionally annoyed by his easygoing demeanor and seeming affluence. In a heated argument, Dave claimed that Barry had raised prices needlessly since he didn't need the money. Barry answered with his trademark sense of humor, advising Dave to try enjoying the process more rather than approaching it as a competition for his life. It was especially fascinating to observe Barry's relationship with Jared and Brandy, the husband and wife duo. Barry would casually suggest maintaining things worth hundreds or thousands of dollars just because he enjoyed them, even if they frequently failed to turn a profit. Barry would frequently share his expertise on the background and worth of different collectibles with his fellow purchasers, which occasionally caused conflict but also offered great educational opportunities. The departure of both Dave Hester and Barry Weiss in Storage Wars' fourth season was a major turning point for the program. Barry's departure was considerably more cordial and represented his own decision to pursue other endeavors, whereas Dave's was encircled by controversy and legal disputes with the network. The creators of the show made a concerted effort over the years to bring Barry back in a variety of roles, demonstrating their understanding of his importance to the series. Conflict or discontent with Storage Wars were not the main reasons behind Barry's departure. Rather, it represented his wish to resume what he jokingly referred to as being a professional slacker, a way of life that his wealth had allowed him to lead even before he became a TV star. Barry stated in interviews that he had achieved his goals with the show and preferred to depart while it was still successful and well-liked rather than remaining too long and maybe harming his reputation. Connection with the fans and the network. It was instantly apparent how Barry's departure affected Storage Wars. Many viewers felt that something crucial was lacking without Barry's distinct energy and style, even as the show carried on with its surviving cast members and added new characters. Since no other cast member could match his wealth, expertise, sense of humor, and sincere excitement for the treasure hunting component of storage auctions, his absence left a gap that was challenging to fill. Surprisingly, Barry's adult children, Jack and Julie, have encouraged their father's television profession. They have accepted his celebrity and frequently show pride in his achievements rather than feeling ashamed of his eccentric on-screen image. During interviews, Barry has stated that his kids love his celebrity status and like watching their father do something he truly loves, even if it's not typical for someone his age. Because to Storage Wars' popularity, Barry was able to look into other television possibilities, which resulted in the development of Buried Treasure, a spin-off series that debuted soon after he left the main series. Barry was able to pursue his wider interests in antiques, collectibles, and unique cars through this new initiative, which allowed him to go beyond storage auctions. By following Barry on his travels across the nation, the concept of the show gave viewers a closer look at his personality and areas of expertise. Buried Treasure took Barry to estate sales, antique stores, and private collections across the United States, showcasing another aspect of his collecting interest. Barry was encouraged to employ unusual forms of transportation by the show's producers, which resulted in some memorable episodes when he rode in everything from custom cars to vintage motorcycles. In one especially amusing episode, Barry rode a horse-drawn buggy through Amish country, looking for traditional handcrafted products and discovering the modest lifestyle of the community. For viewers who missed seeing the original cast interact, the spin-off gave Barry the chance to make guest appearances and rekindle his friendship with some of his former Storage Wars co-workers. The chemistry between Barry and his previous co-stars remained strong despite their diverse professional paths, so these reunions frequently produced some of the show's greatest moments. Buried Treasure failed to attract the same following that had welcomed Storage Wars, despite its inventive potential and Barry's engaging presentation. Although the structure of the show was intriguing, it lacked the competitive tension and unpredictable nature that viewers found so captivating with storage auctions. For the first time in many years, Barry was left without a regular television platform when the network opted not to extend the series after just 8 episodes. A more subdued phase of Barry's public life began with the cancellation of Buried Treasure. He kept up his broad network of contacts in the antique and collectibles sector and pursued his collecting interests, but he mostly avoided the spotlight that had characterized his life during the Storage Wars years. This change gave him the opportunity to concentrate on his hobbies and spend more time with his family, especially his grandson Jack, who had grown to be a significant figure in his life. Barry's comparatively tranquil retirement from television was abruptly cut short in April 2019 when he was involved in a horrific motorcycle accident that would permanently alter his life. Barry was enjoying one of his favorite pastimes, riding with his friend Jamie Robinson of Moto Geo, when the event happened. Reports state that Barry and his friend had no time to avoid the collision as a car suddenly drove out of a parking spot right in front of them. Barry had serious injuries to his legs and chest in the collision, including internal damage and several fractured bones that needed to be treated right away. Because of the severity of the accident, Barry spent 2 months in the hospital, primarily in the intensive care unit, as medical professionals attempted to stabilize his condition and treat his numerous injuries. The healing process took a long time and excruciating, necessitating numerous operations as well as intensive physical rehabilitation. Social media users started spreading the story that Barry had passed away from his wounds while he was in the hospital. Among Storage Wars watchers who had followed Barry's career for years, these untrue rumors caused a great deal of pain as they swiftly spread across fan communities and gossip websites. The false report emphasized how much Barry mattered to his admirers and how many people had noticed and sensed his absence from public life. Barry's recuperation was more difficult and took longer than most people thought. His capacity to partake in many of the activities that had characterized his lifestyle for decades had been impacted by the accident, in addition to his physical health. Riding a motorcycle, which had been his passion and a frequent feature of his TV appearances, became impossible while he was recovering and continued to be restricted even after he was discharged from the hospital. Barry's attitude toward adventure and taking risks was also affected by the tragedy. Although he had always been renowned for being open to trying new things and taking measured chances in his collecting endeavors, the near-death incident made him reevaluate his priorities and modify his way of life. Family and friends observed that Barry became greater cautious and thoughtful approximately his activities, though he retained his critical optimism and humor at some stage in the recuperation technique. Following his recuperation, Barry's courting with the Storage Wars franchise took any other unexpected turn with the creation of Garage Wars, Barry Strikes Again. This new spin-off took a special method, providing Barry along his friend Kenny Crossley as they provided remark and behind-scenes insights while watching vintage episodes of the original collection. The layout changed into basically a reaction display, allowing Barry to proportion stories and views that visitors had never heard earlier then. At the same time as Barry Move's lower back gave fans a hazard to peer their favorite treasure hunter again, the display confronted criticism for feeling like a desperate try to recycle antique content material instead of create something without a doubt new. Many visitors felt that the observation format, whilst every so often wonderful, failed to seize the exhilaration and unpredictability that had made Barry's original Garage Wars appearances so compelling. The display's reliance on current footage additionally constrained Barry's ability to demonstrate his know-how and character in sparkling ways. The layout of Barry Moves Again also highlighted how a great deal Barry had modified for the reason that his original Garage Wars days. While he retained his humor and expertise, the physical boundaries from his twist of fate have been from time to time apparent and his power stage seemed unique from his in-advance television appearances. These modifications weren't always bad. However, they represented a brand new phase in Barry's existence and career that a few lovers located tough to alter to. After simply 10 episodes, Barry Moves Again became cancelled, marking another disappointment in Barry's efforts to maintain an everyday TV presence. The show's failure regarded to confirm that lightning hardly ever strikes 2 times inside the identical area. And that recreating the magic of Garage Wars became extra difficult than anybody had anticipated. For Barry, the cancellation represented some other transition point in his evolving relationship with TV and reputation. Despite the various setbacks and modifications in his TV profession, Barry has persisted to pursue his ardor for motorcycles and antique cars. In a 2017 interview, he expressed interest in developing programming that could combine his love of two-wheeled and four-wheel transportation together with his travel stories. His vision involved exploring different cultures and groups around the world at the same time as that specialize in their unique techniques to transportation and craftsmanship. Barry's know-how of bikes and antique automobiles extends some distance beyond what most Storage Wars viewers ever noticed. His expertise covers the whole lot from traditional American muscle motors to rare ECU motorcycles, and he's maintained relationships with builders, creditors, and lovers at some stage in the automotive international. This community of connections has supplied him with opportunities to participate in suggests, activities, and personal sales that maintain him engaged together with his passion even when he is no longer on television. The relationship among Barry and his grandson Jack has come to be increasingly more important in his lifestyles, in particular as he has stepped lower back from the stressful agenda of ordinary television production. Barry regularly speaks about how a whole lot he enjoys spending time with Jack and looking him develop up, describing the enjoy as one of the maximum worthwhile factors of his contemporary existence. The grandfather-grandson bond has given Barry a brand new attitude on what subjects maximum and has stimulated his selections approximately the way to spend his time and electricity. Barry's non-public lifestyles has remained enormously non-public at some stage in his years inside the public eye. He's been divorced for over 30 years and has selected to stay unmarried, regularly joking that he has masses of stuff to preserve me busy while requested approximately his relationship fame. His selection to prioritize his collecting hobbies, own family relationships, and private freedom over romantic commitments reflects his universal approach to existence. Deciding on what brings him pleasure and success rather than what others would possibly count on. The wealth that Barry amassed through his produce business has given him the liberty to make selections based totally on personal satisfaction as opposed to monetary necessity. This freedom has been each a blessing and a source of a few complaint from Garage Wars fanatics who felt that his financial benefits made the competition unfair. However, Barry's reaction to such complaint has constantly been that he participated within the show for entertainment fee instead of profit and that his method added an extraordinary dimension to the series that viewers appeared to enjoy. Barry's accumulating philosophy has remained steady throughout his numerous career stages. He has always been greater interested by the tail and the back of an object than its monetary fee, and he's maintained his preference for maintaining thrilling portions rather than promoting them for profit. This technique has ended in an in-depth personal series that consists of the entirety from antique motorcycles and vehicles to rare antiques and unusual curiosities that the general public would never assume to accumulate. The Garage Public Sale International has changed substantially given that Barry's authentic Storage Wars days with accelerated competition, higher prices, and greater sophisticated consumers making it more difficult for casual individuals to locate precious objects. Barry's early success at the display took place at some point of a time while storage auctions have been much less mainstream and the opposition became much less extreme. The recognition of Garage Wars itself contributed to changes in the enterprise that made Barry's late-again technique much less possible for more modern individuals. After nearly a decade far away from regular Garage Wars appearances, Barry made a surprising return to the show for its 14th season. His comeback changed into cautiously orchestrated to maximize impact with manufacturers constructing anticipation through teasers and promotional materials that emphasized his go-back. The advertising campaign labored, producing widespread buzz among longtime fans who have by no means stopped hoping to look Barry lower back in movement. If there's one element we know for sure, it's that Barry Weiss embodies something more and more uncommon in reality TV. A persona who remained true to himself for the duration of his diverse profession stages. Whether or not he become arriving at garage auctions in wonderful cars, sharing his expertise approximately antiques, or improving from serious injuries, Barry has consistently approached life with humor, resilience, and real enthusiasm. His story maintains to conform, and enthusiasts stay interested in whatever route his adventures would possibly take him subsequent. In case you have been keen on Barry like we have been, let us recognize your favorite moment from Garage Wars in the remarks. And keep in mind to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so that you in no way pass over another in the back of the scenes.